Welcome to Sakshi TV special immigration talk show with lawyer Dr. Srinivas Kaveti from Kaveti Law Firm. Please note that the information provided on the show is not for legal advice and for general informational purposes only. Sakshi TV or its agents will not be responsible for the use of information. If you need any specific legal advice, please contact the attorney directly. Lawyer Kaveti Garu needs no introduction, but if you need consultation, you can definitely log on to their firm, which is www.kavetilawfirm.com. They provide with a wealth of free information and online tools in the hand of immigrant and also all law-based community. So without any further delay, let us welcome Dr. Srinivas Kaveti. Lawyer, welcome back, Kandi Kaveti Garu. It's very nice having you on our show again.
Thank you, Shivan. It's been a long time, I know.
Yes, Kaveti Garu, firstly, I want to really congratulate you for opening different offices. If I'm not wrong, you've opened it in New Delhi, Vijayawada, Khammam, and Warangal. And I think huge congratulations. We couldn't have been more proud of you. And I think you are doing wonders, helping out all the people open-heartedly. So a big congratulations from me and the Sakshi team.
Thank you, Shivan. Thank you.
Yes. So, Kaveti Garu, firstly, before we get into it, we did get a notice that you are also kind of conducting seminars, especially in Hyderabad and Warangal. So, maybe if you can give us a hint about what exactly do you speak in these seminars and how was it when you stayed in Hyderabad?
Yeah, we're doing seminars on immigration law for students and people who want to immigrate to other parts of the world. And we're also doing seminars in colleges, and we are also going to bar associations. We're also training lawyers, actually, telling them what is immigration law, and if they get any clients who are deported from overseas, how they have to be handled. What happens if somebody gets deported, they will be arrested at the airport, and how the lawyers in India have to handle that. That's one thing. And two, if somebody wants to go abroad for education, or somebody wants to migrate on a work permit, or somebody wants to get a green card or a permanent residency in different parts of the world, like US or Canada. And we also appointed an Australian lawyer in Delhi office now. So we are also doing Australian immigration as well. So we are going and conducting seminars for colleges, in engineering colleges, law schools, and for different bar associations, so that we're enriching them with the knowledge of immigration law. See, immigration law is not taught in the law subjects in India. So we are sharing our wisdom with them. So that's what I've been doing it. And we also did one in Meerut. We did it in Hyderabad and Karimnagar, Trinity Engineering College. And we did it in Warangal Bar Association. And LB Nagar in Hyderabad also, we did a seminar and workshop. And we're also talking on, how the artificial intelligence will help them, because AI is a big role now on litigation and on the law profession. And I just finished my PhD in analytical, on AI with litigation. So I'm also sharing my wisdom with them.
Yes. I think that's really wonderful, Andy, and congratulations again. So without any further delay, let us get into the topic today. We did discuss that we'll be talking a little about the IT layoffs that a lot of IT professionals, especially on H1Bs, are going through. A little bit on the discrimination and the issues that have recently happened, which we didn't cover last couple of months. Kaveti Garu, can you tell us the rights of the IT professionals with H1Bs? Because there is a significant amount of layoffs that have been happening since the last couple of months. Can you please brief us about the rights that they can have? And, if any IT professional who has recently lost their job and who are watching this show, maybe they can get a certain help for the answer that you'll be giving.
First of all, once you're laid off, see, the first and foremost thing one has to see is the employment contract between the employer and employee. And most of the times in America, the employment is at will. What does it mean? It is a will of an employer or an employee. They can terminate you. That means they could say, they give you a pink slip, you can go home. So even though you have an H1B for the employer for 3 years, But because if there's an employment contract which says that at will, that means the employee can terminate the employment, or the employer can say, oh, today is the last day for you. They can do it with cause or without cause. That is the agreement which is drafted most of the times. Means what is the meaning of with cause? They have to give you a causation why they're terminating you. And without cause means they don't have to give you any reason why they're terminating you. It could be your skill. It could be that they lost, some business, or they lost some project. It could be any reason. It could be, a whole bunch of reasons without cause meant. So that's the first thing we have to examine, the employment agreement between the employer and employee. Number one. Number two, most of the times when people call our firm, we ask them, do you have a contract? Oh, we don't have a contract. We just have an offer letter. An offer letter is different from employment agreement, because an offer letter is just an offer. And but we can, get out some terms and conditions from the offer letter. That's the first thing. The second thing, Department of Labor and the Immigration gives certain rights to the employees. As for the Department of Labor, they are supposed to, in some industries, they have to pay you a severance fees, they have to give you a minimum notice, and they have to pay you a, retrenchment pay. And some industries, they don't need to. And if you see the H-1B regulation in immigration regulation says that when the employer is terminating you, they have to give you a return airfare. That means repatriation funds. They have to tell the employer, hey, I'm giving you 60 days. You want to stay in the country, you can change your status. If you want to pick up another job from another employer, or if you want to change your status from H-1B to F-1 visa or to visitor visa, or sometimes if the husband is, a wife is on an H-1 and husband can go on an H-4. Sometimes they even want to get an F-1 visa or visitor visa, or sometimes if their I-140 is approved under the hardship category, you can also apply for a work authorization under the extraordinary ability, saying it's a work hardship. Can we stay in the country until we get a green card? Under the hardship category, also, case to case is different. You can go back to the immigration and request them. Once your I-140 is approved, you can also go and get a work permit that is valid for 1 year. So, and you have 60 days to pick up another employer. And if the employees they want to leave back to their home country, the employer is obligated to pay a repatriation funds. That means airfares, not to the entire family, but to the employee. But these are certain rights they have once they are terminated.
Yes. And what are some remedies that these people who are getting terminated, what are some remedies and quick fixes that they can go through when they're going to this tough situation?
Okay. The first thing is they have to ask the employer if they want if they want the employees to go back, then it is an obligation on the employer to first give them a repatriation funds, number one. Number two, and the employer also has to provide a work experience letter saying that you worked with me for a so and so time to so and so time. Number three, and they have to provide the immigration document. For example, if the employee wants to pick up another employment with another company, so they should know what was the last LCA, what job position they have been given, what are the roles, and they should also be provided with their payroll, paychecks. And if there is W-2s or anything, all those things they have to be provided to the employee. That is a right of an employee. Most of the times, what is happening, the employers are not providing, but that is actionable under the immigration law, that is actionable under the Department of Labor regulation, that is also actionable under the employment laws of different state. So these are the remedies the employees have. They have every right to get the payment, salary for the time they put in overtime, and if they're obligated to pay any other benefits to the employee, if they have deducted any unlawful deductions, the employer is obligated to pay everything to the employee before they leave the country, and they have to give a time frame. They cannot say, employer cannot say, oh, I'm terminating you, I'm revoking your visa before 60 days. they have to provide 60 days notice period and say, hey, if you don't pick up another employment, then we will revoke your visa. Then the employer can go and inform the immigration and other agencies that they are terminating the employment and they can revoke the visa. But the employer is obligated to do all of this before the employee goes and files another H1 or even change of status or even do a visitor visa, even or going to another non-immigrant visa or even immigrant visas.
Yes. And now let's talk about the grace period, Kaveti Garu. So, what exactly is the grace period, and how much of this grace period can people have who just recently got terminated?
The law says 60 days, and again, it's interpretation when you got your notice. And, 60 days is a reasonable time. Sometimes people also, call us and ask us, would I become illegal within 60 days? They won't become out of status in 60 days, but that is a time frame. Sometimes, you might get an employment and the new employer is initiating the H1B process because it takes time for the labor certification. It takes time for filing an H1B under the premium processing or a regular processing. Once the new employer files an H1B and once the employer gets a receipt or even before getting a receipt, even with a postal receipt, they can start working with a new employer right away. So 60 days means the clock doesn't mean 60 days at the end of the story. It's again case to case is different. A reasonable time is given, and case to case is different.
Of course. Now, doctor, what are chances of them changing their, status or turning it into a completely different visa if they're on a H1B visa?
Right. A lot of people nowadays, what they're doing, if they're not finding any new employer, they're changing into an F1. Sometimes they want to upgrade their education. They're going to schools and getting an I-20 and filing an F1. And sometimes they want to wind up their affairs. People are with their families, with their children. Children are in the school, middle of the school. So they're also filing a visitor visa for 6 months. And after the school is finished, they will wrap up everything. They will sell their cars, maybe a furniture. So they're also filing B1, B2 visa, which is a tourist visa for the entire family. And sometimes people are also changing their status to some other visa. Let's say if the wife is on an H1B and the husband is going on an H4, so they're filing change of status and extension of status with their spouses. Sometimes people have I-140 approval, but as they have to wait for their priority, so they're filing under the extraordinary circumstances, saying that it's a hardship. They're also filing a employment authorization. So once they file an EAD, they can stay in the country and work for 1 year. So, people are filing, again, they have to get in touch with the immigration attorneys, ask their immigration attorneys to assist them, help them, and file the documents. And it's doable. And sometimes what is happening, there are some clients, we are getting calls, they're victim of a crime. If the employer is doing some unlawful things like multiple applications, and suddenly these companies are blacklisted and these companies are under audit, immigration is coming to audit them, and they're getting scared. They're saying, oh, we are revoking your visa, or just go and find another employer. So, in such circumstances, our firm has assisted some clients in filing an application for labor trafficking, which is T visa. So, there are other visas are also available. Let's say if you're a Canadian citizen or a Mexican citizen, you can go on a TN visa, you can go on an E visa. And if you're an Australian citizen, you can go on an E3 visa. So there are different types of visas. You can look into it, other categories, but it's doable.
Yes. Now, Kaveti Garu, let's shift into another topic that we've also discussed that we'll be discussing. The first thing is, you see, there are a lot of Indian students, especially students from Telugu states who are getting into a lot of accidents. Few are getting into a lot of car accidents where unfortunately most of them are dying or are in a very critical case. So why is this happening? Is it because that they are driving, without a license, or is there any other issue that is happening in USA and that you have noticed and have come and like?
See, most of the time, see, the road conditions and driving rules and regulations are different from India to US. And most of the times, we don't even go to the RTO in India, we still get a license. We don't take any classes, driving classes, but we still get it. But when you come to America, see, the road rules are different, the criminal laws are different, traffic laws are different. I mean, we all know how to drive, but most of us don't know the rules, and every state has its own rule. For example, if you take the state in New York, when there is a red light, you can do some counties you can do a right turn when there is a red light. But in some states, you can't turn. If, for example, if you take New Jersey and some of the states, you can't turn right on a red light. But people, without knowing the law, they do it, and they meet with an accident, sometimes not knowing the law. Sometimes these young kids, they're driving while intoxicated. That's a crime. And they get intoxicated, they take, and some states they're taking drugs and driving when they get high. And some states they don't know the law. And some states, some students, they don't even have a driving license in America. With the Indian driving license, they come as a student, and somebody will tell them, oh, you have an international Indian license, you can drive. They go and pick up a car and drive. But they're not familiar with the rules and regulations. In such circumstances, they're meeting with accidents, and some of them getting hurt, and some of them even dying. So, what happens when you do that? It's called negligence per se. If you're drunk and drive, if you don't have a license and drive, if you don't have an insurance and drive, so many, if you are negligent in driving, you're going harshly, negligently, rash, negligent driving. When things happen like that, some of them are dying. So what will happen when people die? Because might not be covered under the insurance or car insurance. The car, for example, when you're renting out a car, because our students there, they don't have money, so they don't sometimes buy insurance cover when they rent a car. I, strongly suggest that they have to buy an insurance cover when they take a car for a rental car, because it will be covered when something happens to them in such circumstances. So sometimes people that are dying as well. So their family can also claim compensation. Claim is there, accident claims are there. And sometimes they get arrested by drink and driving. And drink and driving is an offense in America. They could go to jail and their visas are getting terminated. So one has to be careful. Every state is different. They can't see online and presume things that it's the same law all over the country. Every state is different. They have to get in touch with some competent accident lawyers, immigration lawyers, because many times they're even canceling the visas if they're getting drunken driving cases. They're reporting, the police is reporting to the universities. Their service is getting terminated. Strong repercussions these days. So those things have to be kept in mind. But if somebody is driving, let's say, and somebody comes and hits you and they don't have a license, a lot of times people drive without a license in America too. So when things like that happen, there is a no-fault license insurance. The state, city government will also give you some money when somebody is not in at fault. You met with an accident, or sometimes you even die as a victim of a crime. Also, you can claim some money from the city, state, and federal. There is a fund by the federal government in America, but they have to get in touch with some competent lawyers. They can assist them to get some compensation like that. Even the family can claim, father, mother, or brother, sisters also.
Yes, I think that is where I was actually getting into, Kaveti Garu. What are some compensations that the families can get, and if they have any dependent, even can they claim any of these compensations?
Yes, definitely. One is under the insurance law, because the insurance car insurance, you're driving a car, your car insurance covers it. Sometimes the driver's car insurance, somebody comes and hits you, their car insurance also covers you. And sometimes the city and county, and if you're a victim of a crime, there are some victim funds crime victim funds by the city or state or federal, you can also get compensation. Yes, but every state is different, every city is different. They should get in touch with some competent lawyers in their particular states, in their counties, and they can get claim compensation. Absolutely, yes. Even if they're overseas, also, if the dependents are in India or anywhere in the world, they can get compensation. If their children die in this country on a student visa, so many times people call us and ask, "Oh, I'm on a student visa. Will I get it?" It is immaterial whether you're on a student visa or an H-1B visa. Even if that matter, if you're even illegal, also you can get it.
Yes. Now, Mr. Kaveti, let's get into another, side of the topic where we are also getting a lot of queries, and there are a lot of Indians coming up and saying that, listen, we are getting discriminated. It can be in the workplace, or it can be generally, even if they're going to a mall, they are feeling humiliated and they are feeling discriminated. Unfortunately, it's something that really is pretty common there in America. I mean, I can even fix the term, but it has become pretty common since a couple of years. So, what is the situation right now? Why is the discrimination levels rising? Why is that constant hatred coming, especially to South Asians?
Well, see, the bottom line is the media is also, before, we don't know. And now, if you see Americans also, or if you see any Anglo-Saxon countries, because after September incident, people are talking about religions and colors, creed, and even now it's a strange thing came in America, in California recently in Telugu function, they were fighting between kammas and non-kammas. They basically were hitting each other, and there was a big scene in California in this Telugu community meetings. So now the California law is passed. If somebody is hit based on the caste system, which was never there, they don't even understand what is a caste system in city. Now in California, some states have come up with law in discrimination law that if you're being discriminated based on caste, or if you're hating somebody on caste system, they're come up with the laws saying that it's punishable, actionable. So, these discrimination laws are all mostly federal in nature. They apply to employees, not to any independent contractors, but they're stretching the law. And nowadays, you see in recruitment also, in some websites, they say, oh, you have to be practicing Islam. If you're only Christian, please apply for this job. If you're Hindu, please apply for this job. You can say that you should be a citizen of this country or a permanent resident. They can discriminate based on your immigration status. For example, the Constitution of America says to be a teacher in government schools in America, you should be a citizen. Because if you're a citizen, if you're non-citizen of America, because you're teaching in schools, you're indoctrinating the children. So they don't want some non-immigrant workers to indoctrinate. If you're a Muslim, if you're a Christian or a Hindu, they don't want that. But American law says that. But they're exception to the general rule. Nowadays, they don't have mathematics teachers, science teachers. So they're bringing teachers from Philippines and India, and they're coming and teaching in government schools. But they're making an exception to the general rule. The other thing is now, if you see in the recruitment also, they're saying that, oh, sometimes even we are getting calls saying that, oh, if you're a South Indian, or if you're a North Indian, or if you're a Hindu, or based on your name, religion, they're discriminating on recruitment process also. And they're even putting advertisements saying that if you're a Hindu, please apply. If you're a Christian, or if you're a Muslim, please apply. Otherwise, you're not qualified. So these are all discrimination. It's also civil rights issues in America. And you can also go and sue them under the equal opportunity law. But unfortunately, it doesn't apply for independent contractors. Discrimination applies only to the employer and employees. These are all federal law, but there are other legislations in America like state laws and tort laws. You can go to courts and get remedies and compensation.
Yes. And Kaveti Garu, when we were kind of going through this, and there was a lot of debates happening. And there were also, people who were saying that, of course, there is a sense of offensiveness coming from the Americans because of the fact that they're seeing Indians everywhere. You go to a supermarket or you go to even a petrol station or a gas station, they are seeing them everywhere. And there are actually a lot of TikTok videos and are also a lot of other videos that are coming into light where people are just having that hatred. So why do you think is it happening? I mean, you are yourself are a lawyer. So what are your observations in this?
Well, the thing is, if you see now, because hundreds and thousands of students are coming into the country, and they come and work in these workplaces, what you said, in gas stations and malls and everything. But by the immigration law, the federal law says if you're an international student, you're not supposed to work outside. Only in campus you can work. But when you're coming and taking away these jobs in malls or gas stations, obviously there is a resentment because you're taking away an American, US American job, and you're taking away a permanent resident job. So obviously, when you take away the job, you're displacing an American worker, there is a resentment. That's number one. Number two, after the September incident 9/11, obviously, a lot of churches are being bought by Muslims. Islamic institutions are buying a lot of churches. And there's a lot of Islamic influence on Anglo-Saxon countries, and a lot of international students are coming because the way America is looking at it is because after COVID, most of the schools were running in losses, so they're giving a lot of visas to international students. So you see students everywhere. They were not seen so predominantly in the past. The other thing is they're all going with bunch of same colored guys, so they're not assimilating themselves into the local mainstream. That is another reason. And the other thing is our guys also get into trouble. As I said to you just now, when they stay in a two-bedroom apartment, by law only 4 people can stay, but there are 10 people in the apartment, and they're playing music late nights, and they're doing all sorts of driving without licenses. They're driving in parking lots. They do all sorts of things. If you see also lately, we have seen these 3 girls that have been arrested in the malls. They're stealing goods, things like that. When it comes in the mainstream media, they're saying that these guys are coming, instead of studying, they're coming and stealing our goods in the shops, shoplifting. All these things are triggering even in schools and universities. So I would say partly our immigrants are also reason
Yeah,
for such things. Yeah.
for sure. Okay,
Well, I've
sure.
been in America for 25 years, and my children, myself, my spouse, we never faced anything anywhere. We visit courts and every place. We behave ourselves, so we didn't get that in New York
Of
City. And I
course.
live in New York City. And
True,
everybody
true.
calls, oh, you're in New York, in Brooklyn, Bronx. There's a lot of, racism, people killed. By the grace of Lord, I have not been attacked any time. Because, the way you behave
Of course.
sometimes, being
And I
witnessed.
think, and even I think that a lot of Indians sometimes forget the most famous proverb. They would say, it's, when you're in Rome, you have to be a Roman. So
Right,
I think with that, I think
right.
I'm going to end today's session. Kaveti Garu, it was lovely having you on our show again. Thank you so much for tuning in, Adi. Thank you so much for the viewers. You're watching Sakshi TV with me, Shivani Raj.
Thank you, Shivani.